Okay, so what today's podcast is going to be about is it's going to be about energy shielding. And yes, I'm talking about using an actual meditation type method to create a shield of energy around you in order to block other incoming energies. And by energies, I mean something such as a person who's tailgating you when you're going like 10 miles an hour above the speed limit already. That person tailgating you, that person behind you putting that intent is them directing energy towards you. And I'm talking about lower vibrational energy here. And I classify lower vibration as anything that is below acceptance. Regularly using a method like this may seem kind of pointless to some people. Yet, of course, to people who are living in crowded areas, such as the LA area or the New York area, this could seem kind of intriguing to be able to block all the chaotic energy that's going on around you. Yet, the question is, if you're using a method like this and you're blocking other people's energy, is there a certain energy that you are putting out that is a lower vibration than acceptance? And if so, is this method really beneficial to use? Before we get more into this, first off, I'll share with you the method that I have recently been using for energy shielding. Basically, what I do is I visualize like each atom of my body kind of representing a star. So it's like my whole body is this bright shining star. So it's like a light. And with this brightness, with this light, I bring around like peace and love to those around me. Yet, this light is a star. So to those lower vibration energies that are below acceptance, like if one of these energies goes towards me, just like a star, like something heading towards a star, I'll incinerate these energies. And of course, during my meditations, I put forth the intent to maintain and sustain this energy shield throughout the remainder of my day. Yeah, so why don't I want to receive this lower vibration energy? Like for example, if you're like at your workplace and you do something like minor and someone exaggerates and it's like, let's say it's like a middle manager and he's like belittling you and he's like, dang it, look what you did. Yeah, so why don't I want to receive this lower vibration energy? Okay, so let's say you have a coworker. It's like a mid-manager, and this mid-manager is above you, and you do something little, and like it's no big deal, but he kind of like freaks out, and it's like, oh, what are you doing, man? Come on. Yeah, so first off, this is automatically a lower vibrational energy. Once again, you could tell because it's below acceptance. Okay, so this lower vibration energy, it actually prefers you to behave small. And it prefers you to behave small because these lower vibration energies are rooted in fear. For example, greed is rooted in fear. Greed is rooted in this fear of scarcity. And it definitely wants people to be smaller because by being smaller, it could just take. And something like anger. Of course, anger wants people to behave small because anger is also rooted in fear. And of course, if you're mad at someone, you want them to kind of shiver and go like, oh, I'm sorry, rather than stand up and be big. Therefore, we could almost say that by conforming to these lower frequency energies, it's almost like it causes one to behave small. Due to conforming to this energy, which has the intent itself of you being small, whether it means you speeding up if someone is tailgating you, or putting your head down if a coworker mistreats you. Yeah, so why wouldn't I want to receive that vibration from the mid-manager in this case if I were to put up an energy shield? Well, of course, it would lower my mood, and any energy that has a preference towards me being small, if I were to wholeheartedly accept it, it would likely lower my mood. Yet, although this makes sense, there is still fear here. Okay, so I used this method a few times and it goes something like this. Let's say someone sent me lower vibration energy and let's say I get mad about it, and even like rightfully so, I'm mad about it. And it's even like at the beginning of the day, I put up an energy shield so that I could be like protected from things like this. Yet this intent at the beginning of the day when I was creating this energy shield was to not have to deal with energy like this. It was essentially a lack of acceptance. It's like, okay, you are directing this energy at me. You are directing your anger at me, yet I'm just gonna incinerate that energy that you sent at me, and that's basically it. For example, let's say that you have someone who you see repetitively, whether it's a coworker or a friend or a significant other. And let's say you set up an energy shield against them because at one point they sent you lower vibrational energy. Let's say like a few days ago, they sent you lower vibration energy. So let's say that the other day you had a friend who got annoyed because you couldn't come out. And what he said was, "Aw, what? You think you're too busy to come out?" So I know from experience from me making energy shields in cases like this, before I would make this energy shield, I would have this thought in the back of my head that, I don't want to deal with this quality of this person. For example, once again, I don't want to deal with the quality of my friend who might get annoyed by me not coming out or me not wanting to spend as much time with him as he wants. So in a case like this, we could say it's almost as if I have a grudge against that quality of the person. In addition, when creating this shield, it can be used primarily against a certain type of person. In other words, like the main reason for you creating that shield could be for a certain type of person, such as people who tailgate you, even though it may also work effectively towards other people who you're not anticipating throughout the day. Therefore, with experience in cases like this too, I can say that when I would make these shields, in the back of my mind, I would have a grudge against people who tailgate me too, or at least a slight grudge. Therefore, in a case like this, when I would be meeting back up with that friend who sent me a lower vibrational energy when I didn't want to come out, I may put forth as having a grudge against him. I may put forth that energy towards him due to maybe recently having done that meditation. Even if now my friend is in front of me talking and he's coming at a place of medium or even higher vibration, I still may be approaching him at a lower vibration, maybe still having that grudge against that part of him because I focused on it, like we could say a couple of hours ago during that meditation before I met up with him. All right, so one of the methods that I learned to deal with this, to deal with the friend who sarcastically but angrily says, "Oh, what? You think you're too busy to come out?" is seeing it from an outside perspective, seeing it from the perspective of as if I'm outside myself and I'm looking down on my friend and down on myself, and looking at each one of us and having a complete understanding towards himself and towards myself, looking from an outside perspective, having an understanding for how each person feels and like why each person feels that way as much as possible. And I had a friend who acted this way after he lost his job, and he was needy towards his friends and stuff like that. And of course, in society, it's natural for us to get kind of mad if someone's like pushing us to come out or pushing us to do something that we don't want to do, because it's taught as a natural defensive behavior in a way where either you go like, "No, I can't do it," or if someone keeps pushing you, you go, "No, I can't do it," and you just keep elevating your voice and your tone, or you be soft and smooth, and usually that type of person is the person who gives in, or at least that's kind of what we were taught. And of course, you don't have to get that detailed when you're thinking about this in your head. For me, it was probably enough that I just got off work that night and I was tired and I didn't want to come out. Yet, in the case of being understanding towards my friend, looking at it from an outer perspective and showing understanding towards my friend, I could have seen it like this: that my friend did lose his job a while ago, and he has been unemployed for a while. Therefore, he may have a low sense of self, and he may be even trying to compensate for it or something like that by projecting the anger towards me. And at the same time, of course, his anger is showing that he really wants to spend time with me. And it's probably, when it comes down to it, feeling needy because he's currently unemployed. And this doesn't mean that you give in to him and you're like, "Oh, I understand," and go and hang out with him. I mean, unless you truly want to. But this just means that it means having a higher understanding of the situation. Because if you weren't to look at yourself from an outer perspective and only show understanding towards him, then you'd probably lean in the direction of being like, okay, I understand this guy's just depressed or whatever, so I gotta like look out for him and start, having that like feeling that you gotta start caring for him and then go out and hang out with him when you really shouldn't. Yeah, and if I only showed understanding towards myself, then I'd start to think like, okay, I just got off work, and who does he think he is to call me up and start essentially complaining because I didn't come out when I'm the one who's working. I'm the one who just got off a 12-hour shift, and he's just essentially been chilling all day. And I mean, it's so easy to come at it from this perspective. And yet, although he wasn't working, he was probably still suffering and having a hard time being unemployed. And just because he's at home not working doesn't mean he didn't have a rough day. And I don't know, to see this whole perspective, it really does take like looking from an outside perspective, because it's almost like this outside perspective is this, it's more aligned with the source energy, this energy which is both of us, because it's being understanding towards both of us.